Good morning, everyone. Today we want to discuss about the advantage and disadvantage of the sex education in school. Teaching children about sex can be difficult and uncomfortable, but most people feel that it is necessary. In my opinion, I think the sex education in school is good for us. It's because it will be a safe sex protection for us. The sex protection is very important for the teenager or high school student who intended to do sexual activity. According to the survey, there are 60% of the sex education program participants stop and reduce the amount of unprotected sex they were having. The sex education programs include discussion of various types of contraception, including condoms used to prevent the venereal disease. Do you agree with me, Katsun?
I disagree with you. In my opinion, I think sex education shouldn't be taught in school. Try to imagine the situation. It is very awkward for everyone and it is very disrespect because some children will use the sex topic as a joke against their friend. So let's be honest, children shouldn't have to learn about human sexuality or gender identity because they are not adults yet. I understand knowing the basic of sex education is good, but we can't exclude some of the rebellious children will use this knowledge to threat their parents. Furthermore, I think parents should be teaching them because the teacher who probably don't have a college degree or training in this subject matter. Parents are also a better choice than a complete stranger with training and a degree in this subject matter for sex education. If parents teach this to their children, they totally won't have any biases or misconceptions about sexual activity. Additionally, this lets parents share their versions of the facts with their children. They can stretch those facts so their children are comfortable but still innocent enough about sexual activity. Do you agree with me, Xiongqi?
Yes, I totally agree with you, Katrin. Because students may suffer from embarrassment on the subject, and the class may be out of control.
Sorry, I disagree with you, Katsun and Xiongqi. I really think that the sex education in school is good for us. Through sex education, we can learn more knowledge about sex. For example, we will learn about the conception, placenta development, pregnancy, and childbirth. The sex education also including the sexual transmit disease like venereal disease and the prevention as well as contraception. So we can learn more new knowledge in this sex education.
Excellent idea coming from Jia. I also strongly disagree about the point from Xiongqi and Gajun. I feel sad when hearing the things that you all say. For me, I totally agree to have sex education in school, and I hope the integration of moral education and sex education can happen in the future. This is because the primary value that would be taught would not be those relating to specific sexual behavior, but those relating to the general treatment of human beings. Suggesting that sex that involve coercion or exploitation as well as sex that causes harm is wrong. The goal of sex education in school is to prevent abuse by teaching boys how to express themselves sexually in moral, that is, considerate and respectful ways. By having sex education in school, girl students can know that sex is something that volunteer and not forced by anyone, whatever is their family or teacher. By doing this, it can easily reduce the cases of teacher sexual harassing students, and the students can protect themselves when facing this kind of cases. Besides that, In sex education also can teaching students about fantasies as well as sexual deviance in terms of moral behavior may be the most important aspects of sex education to prepare or retrain boys to be good sex partner rather than perpetration of abuse. Any objection coming for you all?
I disagree with your opinion, Kosia, because in my opinion, most students do not have a clear understanding of sex education. If the sex education didn't educate well, they might just think sex is an action to play with and not serious with it. And some of them might think that after receiving sex education, they have license to have sexual relationship with others. For example, if someone decides to participate in sexual activity, they do not have knowledge on contraceptive, the rate of pregnancy at a young age will rise again. Next, sex education will not guarantee that students will not abstaining from sex and giving so much information to students they may not engage in. Besides that, students cannot accept it because students are exposed to different sexuality orientations such as homosexuality and lesbianism. Other than that, students are encouraged to seek for sex pleasure instead of healthy. And students are too early exposed to sex education. What do you think, Kajun?
I very agree with you, Shengqi. I really think that is too early for a student to study sex education. I'm quite tense for the student might won't realize how serious the effect may be if they use the sex education by the wrong way.
I get Shang-Chi and Gachun point, but I think this is one of the reasons why sex education in school must having as soon as possible. When the student was 7 years old, that is year one, this is the age the kid entering the school first time. This can let students know early that sexual education is a normal thing in the future society, and they will not feeling shy when talking about the sex. This also can let students have a clear understanding when they expose themselves to this topic. In the long term, I think we have to change our traditional mindset that resists to discuss the topic of sex. And I suggest the parent having to let their kids know how about the aim of having sex, and this is the only one way they come to this world. Any idea from you all?
Actually, I can understand from your point of view. Maybe we should try to involve some sex education in school, but with good controlling. If not, it may cause a lot of social problem and destroy the image of our country and the next generation.
I quite agree with Goxiang's opinion, but children should have clear understanding on sex before it's too late. But at the age of 7 is too early for the children. I suggest that at the age of 13, school should involve sex education to the student because they are more mature.
Okay, let me end this discussion. I think that the advantage and disadvantage of sex education are the same as everyone thinking, because everyone thinks differently. Some people think that sex education is good, and of course some people think that sex education is not good. Well, in this discussion, the sex education in school is good.
I think that's good. This is good and it will increase our education level.